Steve, we know the pandemic has a lot of people looking for different ways. We know there's new COVID testing going on, and that's why I'm happy to talk with Steve Kirsch, who's the founder of COVID-19 Early Treatment Fund. And Steve, this is a very important time for what you've created, am I right?
It's absolutely, we're 90,000 people in the hospital. These hospitals are being overrun. We desperately need something that people can take as soon as they get COVID to keep them out of the hospital.
So let's talk about this COVID treatments and what does that mean?
So it means that rather than a vaccine prevents people from getting COVID, but if you already have COVID, a vaccine doesn't help you at all. And so what we've done is we focused on using existing drugs and seeing if we can make a difference in the hospitalization rate and the fatality rate from COVID using drugs that are just sitting on the shelf. And we found that there is a drug, one of our researchers found a drug, fluvoxamine, that is 100% effective in keeping people out of the hospital. And that study was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association just recently.
Huh. Wow. Okay. What does it mean for CETF, the COVID-19 Early Treat Fund? What does that mean?
Well, it means that our assumption that we could treat this disease early, as soon as you get it with an existing drug, actually works. And so we don't just have a study in a journal somewhere, but we now have physicians that are actually using this in clinical practice. And so, for example, there was an outbreak at Golden Gate Fields and in Berkeley where 200 people were diagnosed with COVID. And so the doctor who's responsible for those employees offered fluvoxamine to them, and half the employees said, yes, we'll take the drug. And half the employees said, no, we don't need it. We don't believe in this stuff. We don't believe in COVID. Well, 10% of the non-believers ended up in the hospital. And for people who did take the drug, none of those people ended up in the hospital. And so that is a dramatic difference. I mean, the physician that did that, read the study. He was a bit skeptical because it seemed to be too good to be true. And then when he tried it out himself, his jaw dropped. Like, it was so spectacular and so incredible result. He called it spectacular.
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned that a physician actually did this, but why is a tech entrepreneur getting involved with this?
Well, I got involved because I have multiple risk factors. And when the pandemic hit, I said, geez, my life is at risk here, and as well as the lives of millions of other people. And so there's a big personal interest in me. And I'm a problem solver at heart. And so I looked at this as like, here's a problem, here's a big problem. How could I make a difference? I talked to a bunch of medical researchers and they said, hey, repurposed drugs is what you should do. So I started spending my own money, raised another $4 million and created a website, organization, treatearly.org, that people can go to make a donation and learn more about this drug fluvoxamine that's able to keep people out of the hospital if they get COVID.
So, and Steve, I like you do this because we know that it's not just about the vaccine, it's about the treatment that you must do too to make sure that we're fighting this pandemic. So we appreciate it. Will you mention again where people can go to find out more?
Sure, it's treatearly.org is the website.
Perfect. Well, Steve, thank you very much. And hey, I'm glad you're being a part of this.
Thank you very much, Fred.